My cat Freddie loves to be brushed and cuddled. But stirring up his cat allergens meant sneezing and itchy eyes. Then I found Purina One Live Clear. It's cat food that reduced the major allergen and my suffering in as little as 21 days. Now, we feel closer than ever. If you have issues with cat allergens, you really need to try Purina One Live Clear.
Try new Purina One Live Clear today. Purina One, a difference from day one.
Today on CityCast Boise, Treasure Valley residents took out loans, installed rooftop solar, and expected savings. But now Idaho Power is changing the math, dramatically slashing the credits many homeowners expected to rely on. We're diving into the controversy and what's at stake for Idaho's energy future. It's Thursday, April 17th. I'm Lindsay Van Allen, and this is what Boise's talking about. Joining me today is Idaho Capital Sun reporter Mia Maldonado, and she has the inside scoop on what's going on with solar panels in the Treasure Valley. So thanks so much for being here today, Mia.
Hi, Lindsay. Thanks for having me.
It seems like Idaho Power and solar power advocates are clashing. What's causing this, and why aren't these groups seeing eye to eye on this issue?
Right. So essentially, Idaho Power over the last few years has requested the Idaho Public Utilities Commission to approve a new way that it credits its solar rooftop customers. So they're aiming to decrease the amount they credit those customers who have solar panels at their home. And solar advocates say that this goes against the company's 100% clean energy by 2045 goal, and that it also disincentivizes people from investing in solar power in Idaho.
So currently, Idaho Power is paying people who have solar panels for the excess energy or power that they don't use, and they want to pay those people less, correct?
Right.
And I guess what reason are they giving for that?
Yeah, so I spoke with Idaho Power, and the main reason behind that decrease in credit rates is that they say 2024 saw lower energy market prices in comparison to the 2022 market prices. And so by crediting solar customers less, it would be more fair for the company. It would be a more fair price that Idaho Power would have to pay for those prices.
Does it seem like some of this is a supply demand issue then? How many Idaho Power customers or people in the Treasure Valley have these solar power panels installed? Has that increased drastically so they're getting more power?
Yeah, I think that's such a good point. Absolutely. Over the last 10 years, Idaho has definitely seen an increase in solar over the years. In 2022, there were just 13,000 customers that had solar. And then in 2024, there were 19,000. So yeah, I think there definitely are more people in Idaho that have installed solar panels onto their homes. So it's definitely not going to be as expensive. It's not going to be as much of a steal as it was 10 years ago.
And I'm curious, were you able to verify those claims from Idaho Power at all? Did energy prices decrease significantly from 2022 to 2024?
What I would say is Idaho already is rich in energy when it comes to having hydroelectricity. And so power costs in Idaho are already relatively inexpensive whenever you compare it to states across the United States. So solar is not going to you're not going to save as much money in Idaho if you install solar panels in comparison to if you were to be a resident in, let's say, California, Arizona, or Nevada, where they don't have as much hydroelectricity.
I didn't know that. I didn't realize that the energy costs were, potentially so much less here than in other places. So how much are residents paying to have these systems installed into their homes?
Yeah, it really ranges. Whenever I was looking at the Idaho Public Utilities Commission's website and reading the comments on Idaho Power's new request to change the way it credits those customers, there were people that said, ranging from the man that I interviewed who said he paid $18,000. Other people said they paid up to $100,000. And so it really ranges. And I'm sure it also depends on how big your home is.
And you mentioned in your piece that there are going to be basically two different payment structures. There's going to be the Idaho Power legacy system and then a non-legacy system. What do those mean? Like what is the cutoff for that? What is the payment structure like between those two systems and who qualifies for those?
Essentially, the changes that Idaho Power is trying to implement will only affect a certain amount of people. It will only affect customers who do not have legacy status. That means that they installed their solar rooftop after December 2019. So that's about 13,700 Idaho Power customers. So the remaining 5,000 or so people, they have legacy status, which means they enjoy the original really generous credit system that Idaho Power gave those early solar customers because they were, the earlier customers that installed those systems.
Hi, I'm David Plotz, the CEO of CityCast. We've all set health goals: lose weight, exercise more, eat better. But without a plan, those goals often fade. That may have happened to you. It has definitely happened to me. And that's where Prolon comes in. Prolon's 5-day fasting mimicking diet gives you a science-backed, structured approach to stay on track and see real results. And now Prolon is upping their game with the new next-gen 5-day program, delivering the same science-backed benefits in a cleaner, more convenient, and more flavorful format. Prolon is a plant-based nutrition program featuring soups, snacks, and beverages designed to nourish the body while keeping it in a fasting state, triggering cellular rejuvenation and renewal. Next Gen builds on the original Prolon with 100% organic soups and teas, a richer taste, and ready-to-eat meals. Developed over decades at USC's Longevity Institute and backed by top U.S. medical centers, Prolon has been shown to support biological age reduction, metabolic health, skin appearance, fat loss, and energy. I've been doing the 5-day program, and I feel so much better. I really enjoy the tasty energy bars, the snacks and soups, and the fact that I can enjoy meals, even though the calorie count is super low. The flavors and textures are excellent. An olive oil snack here, broccoli and quinoa soup there, hibiscus tea, a yummy nut bar. It's got the benefits of a 5-day fast, but doesn't have the challenge of doing it with pure liquids. It's a system reset. And also, I know this sounds funny, but it's not. The packaging and directions are fantastic, clear, and well-organized and thoughtful. For a limited time, you can be first in line to experience the new Next Gen at special savings. Prolon is offering CityCast listeners 15% off site-wide, plus a $40 bonus gift when you subscribe to their 5-day program. Just visit prolonlife.com/city. That's PROLONLIFE.com/city to claim your 15% discount and your bonus gift. prolonlife.com/city.
Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
So I haven't installed like solar panels on my roof or anything, but I imagine a major reason that people would want to is to save money on their power bill and to, be able to generate their own power when needed and when they're able to with the sun. And so with this new system, will they actually be saving money? Will they be getting enough credits to cover the cost of installing those systems?
That's what people are currently really upset about because they say that no, they will not be able to make their money's worth if these changes take effect. And there's a lot of reasons that people choose to get rooftop solar installed. This includes they want to invest in their home. They believe this could build equity onto their home. They want to save money on their power bill, of course. Also, there's environmental reasons. They want to be a part of contributing less to things like natural gas and coal reliance. And also, there are also people that have the means to buy these systems and want to explore that. So there are a lot of reasons that residents choose to install rooftop rooftop solar. But yeah, from what Idaho Power is proposing, it is upsetting if you are a solar rooftop customer and you've invested tens and thousands of dollars into these systems and you're not going to be getting back what you expected.
So what is the current rate right now, and how much is it changing? Like how drastic of a change in the credit rate are the non-legacy people who have installed solar panels on their roofs going to be experiencing?
Before I dig into this, I think it's important to note that depending on the time of year and depending on how high the demand of energy is at that time of year, that impacts how much Idaho Power is willing to credit you. So in the summer months, which are June through September, that's when the energy demand is highest. That's when, of course, people have their ACs on. They're using the lights in the afternoons. And so in the summer on-peak hours, they currently credit customers who have rooftop solar nearly 17 cents per kilowatt hour. Under this proposed change, it would change to 14 cents per kilowatt hour. And then in the off-peak hours, in the summer months, it would go from nearly 6 cents per kilowatt hour to 2 cents per kilowatt hour. And the most drastic change that they're proposing is in the non-summer months, which is most of the year. So the summer months, they get that kind of bigger credit rate, just June through September. But throughout the remaining months of the year, it would go from nearly 5 cents per kilowatt hour to not even 1 cent per kilowatt hour. So I think that's the drastic change that people are really upset about, is most of the year they will barely see a change in the amount that they were originally paying before that they installed rooftop solar.
Yeah, so that is quite a drastic cut. Like that's not just like a tiny percentage. Like that's quite a bit of a difference. How did the people that you spoke to, what did they have to say about this, or how are they planning for this drastic change?
Yeah, I think a lot of people are upset, of course, because they invested so much money into this with the understanding that they would be saving money in the long run. But this would change that, especially people who, like the gentleman I interviewed in my story, who took out a loan. So on top of having slightly less expensive than what he was originally paying before he installed rooftop solar, he's also paying off the loan that he used to install rooftop solar. So there's situations like that. There's also a lot, whenever I was reading comments on the Idaho Public Utilities Commission website, there's a lot of, old couples in retirement that made this decision thinking they would save money, but no, a lot of people have put themselves in debt to install rooftop solar, and now they're barely going to save money. So it's definitely caused a lot of frustration, and the Idaho Sierra Club has been really outspoken against this and say that this incentivizes this clean energy system. So there's been a lot of backlash.
And Mia, in what ways do you think that this issue could influence, and I mean, Idaho Power changing the credit rate, how do you think that could influence how people in the Treasure Valley think about investing in renewable energy?
The gentleman I spoke with in my story, he told me he was originally really excited to be able to see how much he's contributing to clean energy and to check how much his panels are producing. But now it's just, he used the word, it's sour. It's something that it's not an investment that he expected. So I think people are going to be more skeptical and when it comes to looking into solar.
Well, and when we're talking about, maybe retired couples or people who have taken out loans as an investment in renewable energy or solar energy, what do you think this conversation, what kind of an impact do you think it could have on who gets to participate in clean energy in the future and who might be left out?
So in a previous story I wrote, I interviewed a man who lives in the North End. He installed solar panels onto his home years ago, and he's a legacy customer, so all these changes won't impact him. But he told me this was not a financial investment. In fact, it was really expensive, but he's an engineer, he owns his home, he could afford it. But From what he was telling me, he said he did not install solar panels because he saw it as a financial investment. He was just curious, and he's an electrical engineer, and he wanted to test it out. And there were so many other costs associated with it that he didn't anticipate, such as whenever he installed the panels, they were improperly installed, so he had to pay to fix that. And then they caused a leak on his home. Whenever you cut down trees can damage your solar panels. So there were a lot of additional costs associated with solar panels. So my point is, in this case, I think these changes aren't going to impact people who have the means to just install solar panels because they want to experiment and have fun. But whenever it comes to people who really saw this as an investment for their home, those are the people that are really going to struggle to make their money's worth, especially because solar panels, like even if you get a slight discount, it's going to take years, if not decades, to break even on that investment.
And how would this rate change affect maybe the broader Idaho Power customers if it's implemented? I mean, has Idaho Power said that there will be any benefits to this credit change to their broader customer base?
I don't think Idaho Power has said this is going to specifically benefit its customers, but more than anything, it's going to be more fair for Idaho. Like, these are the prices that are more fair for the company to be paying because of how the costs of energy have shifted over the years. They say this is a more fair price for the company to be paying.
And Idaho Power's talked a lot about, over the past couple of years, about their clean energy goals. Does solar power, these solar panels on roofs, align with Idaho Power's clean energy goals?
Yeah. And that's the exact question I asked them. And I think that's what a lot of people who are discontent with this change have to say. And they responded that they do support clean energy and they do understand how useful rooftop energy can be, but it's not enough to support all their demands for energy. And so these changes just make it more equitable among the other different kinds of energy that they have to buy into their system.
So it sounds like for people maybe considering solar energy panels, it's going to be something, if you're looking at it as a cost-saving measure or to be able to, sell back power for credits or as an investment, it financially might not be viable as an option or as viable as it was previously with the credit system that's currently in place. What are maybe some long-term implications for our region if rooftop solar becomes less financially viable for people?
I can see why people say this disincentivizes solar in Idaho, but I just, from my coverage and from what I've learned is solar wasn't necessarily the greatest investment for somebody who's an Idaho homeowner either, because we already have relatively low energy costs, and it will take decades to break even on an investment, assuming you're going to still own that home. So from what I've learned is there is a lot of misinformation about solar, and Idaho Power, it's never promised its customers that it's going to never pay their power bill again. So I think customers, have to be skeptical of the information that they're receiving and ask a lot of questions to companies who are making promises to them. And so I think that that's another side of the story, that while yes, Idaho Power is hoping to decrease those credits, the company has never made the promise that somebody's power bill is going to be zero once they install solar rooftop. That's never been the case.
So Mia, what's next in this clash between Idaho Power and Idaho solar panel residents?
Right. So right now, Idaho Power is waiting to hear back from the Idaho Public Utilities Commission, and that commission will make a decision on whether to modify the change that the company requested or accept it. And they are expected to have that decision by June 1st. So for now, we're just waiting for the decision, and people wanting to leave feedback about this request can do so at the Idaho Public Utilities Commission's website.
Well, Mia, thank you so much. I really appreciate you taking the time to explain this and break it down. There were a lot of different points to this. It's more complicated than it seems on the surface. So I really appreciate you taking the time to sit down and break it down with me.
Yeah, of course. Thank you so much, Lindsay. Thanks for having me.
That's all for today here on CityCast Boise. If you enjoyed the show, don't forget to leave us a review so other people can find us too. We'll be back tomorrow morning with our Friday News Roundup. Catch you then.